Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center, Wareham, Massachusetts. It's time to look at the rest of February 2023, starting, I believe, on the 19th. So we're going from the 19th to the 28th. And I think I'll do a little bit of a review of the beginning of the Kabbalah and the numerology, just very, very quickly, so that we can have a basis for the rest of the month as well. So let's get started with that. Okay, everyone. So we're going to be looking at the last 2 weeks of February. But before we get to that, I just wanted to do a quick review of some of the high points worth talking about in February. February really is a month of sort of endings with intimations of new beginnings. And then March is really a time of new beginnings, comes in power, of course, also with that Aries new beginning of the tropical zodiac year. That's when things move. But February is generally a month where we're sort of like sitting back, ruminating, dreaming the dream. It's this energy of, here generally it's pretty snowy, or the temperatures are very low, so we tend to spend more time inside. Although this winter so far hasn't been too bad for us where I live in southeastern Massachusetts. But it's still a time when we think like the holidays are like over, the exhaustion from the holidays is over, the promise of spring is in the air. And so we're in this period of, wistful goodbyes and also the promise of new beginnings, which is really what this sort of time of Pisces really is about. And that's kind of what we start with as we start these 2 weeks with the sun now in Pisces, the Pisces part of February. But let's go over the numbers first. Just as a reminder, we're in a 7 universal year. 2023 is a 7 year. And 7 is about seeking answers. So you will be seeking answers, and people will be seeking answers from you as well. 7 is a vibration of understanding things at a very sort of deep level. Really sort of analyzing the why of things. That's what 7 does. And if you happen to have a 7 in your natal chart, I have a 7 soul. So the 7 vibration is very familiar to me. And it is a vibration that feeds me, feeds my own soul. So that need to know why, that's why I do the work that I do. And so we're all in that sort of 7 vibe. Right? So here we try to establish a philosophy by which to live, to penetrate the mystery behind its existence, which it has never questioned to this point. So there are things that you will be questioning this year that you hadn't questioned before. It could even be your life purpose. Like, why am I here? What am I doing? Am I just witnessing all this chaos and that's what I have to do? Or is this a time when I can take this energy and, create something with it? However, that creative process needs isolation to a certain extent and introspection. And 7 is a vibration of isolation and introspection. Sometimes 7s can be too introspective. They're so drawn in on themselves that they live in a private world, right? And so we could see that too. We could see people living in their private worlds this year. Because solitude is necessary for analysis, the 7 feels the need to spend time alone, away from the crowds, and in touch with nature. And that's what I would suggest for all 7s. If you have the capacity to connect with nature, then connect, even if it means like just standing next to your favorite tree, or just looking at the sky, looking for the birds, whatever it is, however you can connect with nature, it's going to be very important this year. And nature certainly has something to say to us. And we can talk about that later maybe, but so I think we need to listen. It's important for us to be out nature, because nature is going to knock on our door one way or another. It looks for friendship with those of an elevated consciousness that can match its own. This is in a way a friend. The 7 always sort of reminds me of the Aquarius vibe, sort of like really interested in people, but maybe not so interested in relationships with people. It's like theoretical love of people, right? And it isn't maybe until we get into the 9 vibration where we feel the true love, the true love. 7 ushers into a cycle of physical completion without apparent effort. So if there are things that you have been working hard on for a long time, this is a great time. This is a great year for those things to manifest themselves. And it will almost seem miraculous. You'll say, oh my God, because you worked so hard for so long and so diligently in one direction. Sometimes you're so used to working hard and maybe not having it work out quite the way you want. So you don't think it's possible. And then it comes like, whew, this is that kind of year. Goals that have been long sought are now magically attained. So isn't that lovely? Instant manifestation. The key words are quiet, introspective, intuitive, analytical, inspirational, reclusive, philosophical, and mystical. These are the kinds of things that you need to surround yourself with in the 7 year. So if you do this kind of work like I do, there are going to be people out there who want to connect with you, hear what you have to say, get your perspective on something, hear your story, and how perhaps your story can be applied to them. We need storytellers. We need storytellers. And this is from Numerology and the Divine Triangle by Faith Chavain and Dusty Bunker. Everything I've said is written in that book, in all different places in the book, but in that book. All right, let's continue here. Oops, sorry. Pressing the wrong button. The vibration of February is a 9. We're in a 7 universal year. And if you add the 2 of February, we get a 9. 9 is selflessness and compassion. So this is a time where we are connecting with both the mental idea of relationship and connection, and then the emotional or completion of that with the energy of the 9, the energy of compassion. Encompassing a love for all, it desires to apply its energy to universal service. It bestows the impersonal but just view of life, one that is generous, benevolent, and patient. It bestows the impersonal but just view of life, the impersonal but just view of life. One that is generous, benevolent, and patient. So this is about like understanding that what you put out there, you get back, right? So the question is, what are you putting out there? And what are you getting back? So if you've been diligent, like many of us, trying to keep things on a positive note or an expansive note or a loving note or a considerate, heart-filled note, then I think that comes back to you, right? It comes back to you through help from others and aid and comfort and when there needs to be healing. So even if somebody is like giving you like not that, we have to be willing to love it anyway and let it go and just say, hey, I tried. If that's it, that could be a possible scenario. for this month. 9 is a completion number. And as I said at the beginning, is that February is this sense of there's a completion, it's the potential for the new growth that comes in March. And that's happening both energetically, right? And astrologically. We have two really big things happening in March that are the start of, like, we can feel it. We're stepping into something different and something new. So this February is about that 9 vibration, and 9 is about reaping what you sow. This is the artist, the thinker who has developed skills throughout the preceding cycles and is now ready to share their knowledge with the rest of the world. Also from numerology and the divine triangle. And if we look at the tree of life here, we have the Hermit. The 9 is the Hermit card in the tarot. It sits here. It's associated with the sign of Virgo. This is wisdom, service, and the creative hand of God. Now, if we look at where it sits on the tree of life, it sits here between the sun and the sun in Tiprath and Jupiter in Hesed. And Jupiter is in Aries now. So what is Jupiter in Aries? It's about the vision, the breath, the intuition of the new, what is possible, something different. We're tired of the old ways. The old ways don't work. It's time to move into the new. And that new is much more egalitarian. Pluto moving into Aquarius. We also have the sun at this time in Aquarius and Pisces. Now the sun just moved into Pisces. Was it just before? The sun just moved into Pisces on Saturday the 18th. Or you might be watching this on Saturday the 18th. And so now we're in the Pisces side of things. Now, originally we were in the sun in Aquarius side of things at the beginning. And here we have Aquarius and Aries. So this path was simpler in the beginning in a way. When it goes into Pisces and Aries, things get a little bit more, less cut and dry, more feeling, more emotional. And so there's a possibility that the beginning of the month was more of a mental healing. The second half of the month could be more of an emotional healing, or the healing, instead of like aha moments, it's like heart moments. The mantra for Aquarius is I know. Talk to an Aquarius. Talk to your Aquarius friend. Tell them something you just found out. What'll they say? They'll say, I know. And Pisces, I believe the children are our future. Is she a Pisces? She had Pisces. She had something in, she was a Leo. I think her moon might have been in Pisces. Whitney Houston. I should do her chart. I really should. Yeah, she's a very talented soul. Yeah, so we have a mental healing and a physical, more emotional healing in the second half. The path that is activated this month is path of the Hermit, the intelligence of will. The Hermit lights the way for all seekers. He is a guide, but conveys the message that each one of us walks the path alone. So everybody's journey is their own, and there's a wisdom to that. And when we don't include all the journeys together, then we miss it. We miss the contextual nature of our lives, the interconnectedness, the things that make life worth living. It's very good to have like brain power for sure. That's my bird. Brain power for sure. But it's the other stuff. It's the other stuff that has to come with it that really sort of makes us a whole, makes us whole people, right? And that's the feeling part. That's the feeling part. Creation, preservation, and transformation are the 3 points which define the divine circle of eternal movement. Preservation, creation, cardinality, the cardinal signs. Preservation is the fixed signs, keeping things stable and as they are, and transformation, which is the mutability. And Saturn, the planet of structure, is about to move into the mutable water sign of Pisces. So the systems will, what hasn't been blown to smithereens with Saturn in Aquarius is going to dissolve away with Saturn in Pisces. Not all the systems, the ones that are true, will sustain. There's, always collateral damage, but I think the faster we can understand what we're here to do and what we're doing, which is the 7 vibration, the better chance we have of mitigating the harm, honestly. The power of 9 is extraordinary wisdom. It's time for you to utilize and share your extraordinary wisdom, folks. The answers all lie within. On this path, the love of goodness is awakened in the hero. Goodness in the hero. The chakra is activated. The universal year activates this path here. This is the path between Baina and Gebura. It's the first path off of Baina in the pillar of severity. There's a energy of creating a line in the sand or a perspective or a structure in order for these forces, the forces of the Divine Mother, Baina, to come in through that energy of Mars and have Mars be a conduit for the power of the feminine. February activates the throat via Hesed and the heart chakra. So February. So this is the faucet that's on all year 2023. And this is the sub faucet that's being let loose in February. And so the energy flows here. And so the energy is flowing in our third eye, in our throat, our vision. This is vision. This is what you're seeing. This is saying it. This is also where we open up in the throat. This is where we open up to divine will. Or we move aside, our ego moves aside so that the divine in us can sort of set the sail. So we know what direction to go in. It's such an exciting time to be alive because we get to do what we've always dreamed of doing and living the life we've wanted to live. But we have to believe it's possible. We have to both be open to that possibility and then work towards it. and not hang on to the fear that we're losing something and there isn't something better coming along, right? Here's Anja, third eye, to perceive, where commands the element is light. The light is on. The light is on all year, folks, all year. Vishuddha, the throat chakra, right? This is the 7 vibration is connecting these two chakras together. Vishuddha, purification, the element of sound. This is about purging, letting go, right? Purifying your space, purifying your body, preparing your body for the road ahead. In order to take the road ahead, you need to strengthen yourself by purifying things, including what you say, being mindful of the words that you use, especially when you're talking about yourself. But even when you're talking about others, because when you talk of others, you're talking about what others reflect back to you and what you still have judgment on. And the heart, through the monthly vibration of 9, right? And this is the element of air, anahata, unstruck, the sound of creation, vibrating in our hearts. Why? Because the Creator loved us enough to create us. Okay, let's go through. We don't have to go through any of this. We'll get right to the page. Here we go. So Sunday, February 19th, which vibrates to a 28-1. That's the 2 of Wands in the tarot. We have Venus waxing sextile to Pluto. Venus and Pluto, they have had quite the ride. It started at the end of 2021 when those two planets conjoined 3 times because Venus was in a retrograde cycle. Venus was in a retrograde cycle in the sign of Capricorn, which is often associated with patriarchy. Venus came out of that period of time, 2022. In a place of still having to push her agenda to Pluto, the Lord of riches, right? The Lord of death and rebirth. In a sign, Capricorn, that is about tradition. Pluto in Capricorn is about to lose all its power, right? Or not really. It's what it thought it was its power, Pluto in Capricorn. Because Pluto in Capricorn is a beautiful energy. It's building empires, really. But hopefully, these people born with Pluto in Capricorn will build empires, but empires with more empathy, more, the future is theirs. The future is theirs. All we can do is tell our stories and, say this is what we did and what we felt. And, we have to share our stories with one another. And Venus, now in Pisces, powerful Pisces, after that long, long journey from her initial conjunction with Pluto, a retrograde cycle, meeting Pluto 3 times, meeting Mars twice, once on one side of Pluto in Capricorn, and then once at like 0.00001 degree of Aquarius. 1 minute into Aquarius, they met again, Venus and Mars. And then they did their thing, they went around, and now, Mars is doing his thing. He had a retrograde, and we have Venus coming back to the table after everything she learned from her journey around the zodiac. She's almost back conjunct, right, with Pluto. Now she's gathering more information. What is it that she wants? Now that she has experienced really losses, it's about building, I think, for the feminine through this period with Venus and Pluto is really about seeing the essential, what essentially needs to happen here. And essentially, I think what we've come to understand with this Venus Pluto relationship, the previous one and the one that we're moving into now with this waxing sextile, is it comes down to the earth. The way we treat the earth is the way we treat women, and women and the earth are one. And we need to rise up as women, along with Mother Earth, take this opportunity and love the planet. Love the planet and love yourself, because you can't help but love yourself, women. And everyone who knows a woman, who's met a woman, who has a feminine side. It's not, girl or boy. That's not it. It's not girl or boy. It is energy. And it is, the more balanced the energy and the more we have ways of connecting one energy to the other, the easier it will be. But the all or nothing stuff has to stop, right? To a certain extent. Okay. I went on and on, didn't I? I apologize for that. On Monday, we have the new moon in Pisces. I just did a moon shadows episode with Ona. In fact, the only thing I changed was my scarf from that. A powerful new moon. We'll look at the chart. 2 degrees of Pisces. That day, the day of the new moon in Pisces, vibrates to a 2911 for those who have the new moon on the 20th. This is light, Light, vibrates to a 2911. This is a powerful energy. It's a master number. Master numbers are challenging. You don't get a master number just because you're next. That's the next. No, you get, master numbers are big commitments. And so we have an opportunity to make a commitment on that Pisces new moon to ourselves. Where is Pisces in your chart? What do you need to commit to? To utilize this new moon energy for the benefit of yourself. Pisces, is always ready to give it all away. And the reason Pisces is willing to give it all away is because they know there's no such thing as an away and that you can't give it and keep it. It's about flow. It's the flow of energy, and flow is more of a feeling and an emotional place. It's a heart place. It's a feminine place. New moon in Pisces, just coming off the sun's conjunction to Saturn. So the sun and Saturn had a meeting. And now we have this new moon in Pisces. So there's this, Pisces energy is very amorphous. And it can, if you're not paying attention, you have to pay attention with this energy, because you're creating in the great cosmic sea what you're going to bring forth. What is that going to be? What is that going to be? You have to put your best self out there. You have to put your highest self out there, your highest heart, your highest mind, your best, so that we'll actually have an opportunity to create the best we can. It helps to have an open heart for that. It helps to have an open heart for that. That's the only way you get there. On the same day, 50 minutes later, Venus ingresses into Aries. Venus, the goddess of love, puts on her Xena warrior princess outfit. She's ready to go out there and be. What do you want to be? It's connected to this day, to this 29/11, February 20th day. On the 21st, we have a last quarter square between Mercury and Uranus. Very powerful last quarter crisis in consciousness, reorientation of the mind, enlightened, the now enlightened mind. What are you going to do with it? It's interesting, all this law of attraction stuff that you see. The law of attraction really works. And there's been a lot of people who've made quite a bit of money. Their lives, work in the way that they want because of the law of attraction. And so people are attracted to it because they're like, I can be like rich. But really, the law of attraction is about what makes you happy, what opens your heart, right? Dream the dream. I mean, why does it always have to be struggle? There's going to be struggles. But, I don't know. Hi, baby. Cat wants to come up and say hello in the middle of this. So, do you want to come up? Yeah? All right. Mama's got you. Come here. Come here. Charlie wants to say hello. Hi, good boy. What you doing? So, Mercury square Uranus is can be shocking. Now, this is very close to the war, the beginning of the war, right, in the Ukraine. It'll be a year on the 24th of February. So this energy of Mercury square Uranus, and then the next day on the 22nd, which is a 31/4 day, which is a Mars energy, we have Mercury make a waning trine to Mars. That is some sort of action. Now, it seems to be an explosion and then an action. That explosion, I guess, could be an actual explosion, but it could be a realization about something, right? And then Mars and Mercury line up. And Mars and Mercury have been going back and forth because of the retrogrades, right? So this is powerful. It's a powerful week. And then Monday, the 27th, we have a first quarter moon in Gemini, and this will be the first quarter moon for the new moon in Pisces. So we have this like real sense of like, after this, I think, new moon in Pisces, with Venus, with, you know, being informed by Venus in Pisces, that this is a very, very powerful week. I think for the feminine in general, but we'll see what happens. Here's the sextile I was talking about between Venus and Pluto. Pluto is here. Venus is here. This is opening the lines of communication. Opening the lines of communication. Women are speaking. Women's voices are being heard. Okay. Women are a part of the conversation. I believe a lot of the people in the EU in positions of power, I think Estonia, and even I guess the president of the EU, and I apologize for not really knowing that. I should be a little bit better about that. But they're women. They're women. And I feel like one of the reasons that the Ukraine is getting so much help from Europe, which would make sense, right? They're there. I mean, they have the most to lose, right? Is that the women are helping. Like there's more of a help. Let's cooperate energy to take care, come together and you know, deal with what needs to be dealt with. You know, so now America, you know, is interesting, but we have to come together on stuff as well, right? Okay, let's go to the next one. This is the new moon. This is the new moon I speak of. Now, this new moon, this is a chart for Washington, D.C. So apologies to anybody who doesn't live in Washington, D.C. Just kind of wanted to see how it would look, the energy would look for the U.S., you know, because that's where I live. And of course, this is a very pivotal time for the United States, right? I mean, as the United States goes, so does the rest of the world. And we're trying to find our soul. We're trying to find our soul. And it doesn't make us more important. It just makes us, we've been the leading edge for a while, right? And, you know, we're being held accountable as well. It matters to most of the world what happens here. So we have the two degrees of Pisces. The Sabian symbol is a squirrel hiding from hunters. The individual's need to both ensure his future subsistence and to protect himself from aggressive social elements. The key word here is a need for self-protection, and caution is ever present. This is about protection and self-protection. This is about making sure that you're safe. You're safe. And Pisces is a water sign. And so there's a psychic nature to it that we need to make, especially with Pisces, the Pisces energy is that you have to constantly filter the energy with Pisces. You can't not tend to your emotional sensitivities with all this Pisces. And so it's important that you have a safe place for that. Okay, that's important with this new moon. It's just coming off of its conjunction of Saturn. You see Saturn right next to it. Neptune, the planet that rules it, is in Pisces here. In fact, we have the sun, moon, Neptune, and Venus in Pisces. And then Venus moves into Aries, like immediately after. She plops, and now 15 minutes later, she's in Aries. She's ready. Venus is ready to stand up. Venus in Pisces. Right? I think the pussy hats are going to come back out, guys, in big ways. Yeah, and maybe even men will be wearing them. I don't know, but something big, something big. Two of Wands, the light. This is the light. This is the birth of the light. Okay, just there we go. All right, here we go. Venus moves into Aries. You can see it's not very different than the last chart. And so Venus moves into Aries. A woman just risen from the sea, a seal embracing her. Emergence of new forms of the potentiality of consciousness. This is enormous, guys, enormous. Keyword, the impulse to be. Right? Now we look to Mars as well, because Venus is in Mars's house. Venus is a guest in Mars's house, and Mars is in Gemini, 16 degrees of Gemini. A woman activist in an emotional speech dramatizes her cause. Are you kidding me, folks? Are you freaking kidding me? These Sabian symbols are amazing. A passionate response to a deeply felt new experience. What is at stake is a process of communication of new experiences. What we see pictured is the transformation of emotions into mind, of instincts into thoughts, a process of mental metamorphosis. You know, sometimes the feelings are so deep and the feelings are so hard to find words for. But the words, the feelings are being heard and being seen, and things are changing, and Venus is ready to take on this mission of light. Right, Kitty? Powerful stuff, guys, really powerful. Even as I say it, I can feel it. Then the next day, we have the last quarter square between Mercury. Where are you, Mercury? Here at 16 of Aquarius, square Uranus at 16 of Taurus. You know what? Let me see if I can find my Sabian symbol. Can I put you down, baby? Yep. Okay. I'm going to put you down. I think he was hypnotized there for a while. He likes laying on me. Not that I blame him. It's cool when your mama holds you, right? Sorry, Charlie. I hate that I love saying that. Sorry, Charlie. All right, let's get serious now. Mercury at 16 of Aquarius. So Mercury is coming back to Uranus on its path. It's now 3/4 of the way around. And Mercury and Uranus act like, especially in these squares, it's like sudden explosion. But that explosion can be a brilliant idea. It's a powerful time of creation right now. Very, very powerful. Okay. Did I get the right? Did I do? Okay. I still haven't found it. I thought I found it and then started talking to you, but I didn't find it. Okay, so we're at 16. A big businessman at his desk. The ability to organize the many aspects of an enterprise involving a large group of human beings. Says a great deal of what is glowingly written about the Aquarian age is probably sheer glamour. The new age should be one in which man learns to use the power generated by human togetherness and group interplay. That is, to use it harmoniously for the welfare of the whole, of which all individuals are parts, humanity and the planet Earth. I just said this, holy crap. This has never been achieved and only very rarely attempted. Mankind today must make a thorough and irresistible attempt or be nearly destroyed, except for the creative remnant of the seed persons who would have to begin again from new foundations in a field of big business, of huge war undertakings like Normandy landing on World War II, or major national efforts like moon landings. Great results have been achieved, but the motives and the quality of human interrelationships involved were neither of permanent significance nor invested in a truly harmonic quality. The character of the techniques used were totally unsatisfactory from a human point of view. Nevertheless, there is much to learn from the modern large-scale management and system analysis, even in terms of personal endeavors of very limited scope. So says Dane Rudger. Wow, that was pretty. That was a lot. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on, but that was pretty amazing. I'm always amazed at these Sabian symbols. Now let's look at where Uranus is at. Uranus being at what? 16 of Taurus. 16, yes. An old teacher fails to interest his pupils in traditional knowledge. The inadequacy of past knowledge in a time of crisis. Creative frustration. Says during this Act 1 of the cyclical process, the emergence of a new development is emphasized. In a time of crisis, for example, the storm being braved by man of the last symbol, a type of wisdom, the last symbol was a head covered with a rakish silk hat muffled against the cold. A man braves the storm. So the storm braved by the man in the last symbol, the type of wisdom learned from this past remains in the background, but revived later on in new forms. What is emphasized is change. Traditional concepts are not adequate to confirm the new conditions of existence. Thus, whenever this symbol whenever the symbol comes to a seeker's attention, it indicates that even the most consecrated tradition does not have the real answer to the problem. And so the old stuff doesn't work. The old stuff doesn't work. And this is going to be a realization that you see here at the square. Okay. And then immediately after, like the next day on the 22nd, which I believe wasn't that the 31-4 vibration? That's 20, 24 and 7. Yeah, the 31-4 vibration. I'll be right there. This is Mars energy, and we have Mars making a trine to Mercury at 17 of Aquarius. A watchdog stands guard protecting his master and his possessions. The development of the capacity to protect oneself and to safeguard one's individual rights under complex social pressures. This is about standing up for yourself. Standing up for yourself. Standing up for each other. Yeah. Okay. And the last thing we'll look at is the last thing that happens in February of, kind of importance is the moon, sun moon, first quarter square, because this is the action, the crisis in action on the Pisces new moon. We have the sun in Pisces, of course, the moon in Gemini. We have Mars there, right in front of the moon in Gemini. So it's a Mars moon. It's a wide conjunction. But the moon gets closer and closer to Mars. So there's a motion behind an action that is taken. And we still have the Mercury influencing that Mars. It's waning, but we still have that. So it's still informed. It's still informed. So I guess the question is like the first step in, we have the dream, we plant the seed. What action do we need to take to further, to create, to make it more stable, to make it real? And that's what this first quarter, I think, moon is going to ask us. How are we going to make it real? What do we have to do? The North Node is in Taurus, telling us the future is a practical one and a pragmatic one and a basic one. A lot of people live very complex lives. It's not really necessary. If we can simplify to what's essential at a time when that's what's needed, and do it with our consciousness. I mean, why do we have to have people trot off to war when we could just solve it with our consciousness? But our consciousness requires us to love. So the more you love, the more conscious you are, the more powerful you are. The heart trumps the mind. Heart math tells us that as humans, our power is in our heart. But many of us are stuck in our head, and many others are stuck in the lower places, in the greed and the fear and the avarice and the dog eat dog and all that stuff. When you move into the heart, you realize that that's silly, that of course there'll always be enough. Of course. We are living in interesting times, guys. I know this sort of went a lot longer than I had expected, but I feel like there was good information that came through. So hopefully you'll forgive me for being so loquacious. But I do have a moon in Pisces, and all this Pisces energy is flowing through me. So I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it with you guys. So thank you for joining me for this. And I just want to tell you that I do have a Patreon page. If you like my work, and you want to be a patron, I would be honored. You know, I'll know that that I'm going to do my work one way or the other. But it's nice to feel the appreciation, and I want you to know how much I appreciate you, because I know you could listen to a million things or a million other things, that if you take the time to hear me, then I know how precious that is. So I thank you for that as well. And I want to give like a special shout out to those readers out there, who are out there doing this work, putting themselves out there at a time when, you know, some people would rather just hide. You know, when you shine your light, people see things, and they see you, and that can be, that can sometimes be, you know, a little scary. But it, you know, I mean, you have to practice what you preach, right? So I keep saying, shine your light, shine your light, shine your light. How could I not shine mine, right? So if I could get my light to go a little bit further, that'd be great. So I thank you for everything that you do to help me shine the light, at least the light that I see. And I think it's a good, I think it's a valuable perspective, And at a time when we maybe need some higher view, and not because I'm smarter than the average bear, but because I'm looking to the stars, right? All right, guys, I love you all. Take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the month. I'll see you at the beginning of March for the Numerology Kabbalah Astrology of March. Okay, take care. Namaste, everyone.